us to go live. This meeting is being live streamed. Okay, so let's see how this goes. So I don't always have the best success with having Zoom, going live with Zoom, but looks like we are live and it seems to be working. So we're going to go with it. So welcome everybody. We are back to Chatting with Wisdom. And so for those of you who are on Bridging the Gap Wellness Center page or in my Facebook group, Mind, Body, Heart and Soul Connection, and on YouTube, unfortunately, I'm going to have to upload into this, but it looks like we are live on Facebook here. So on my business page. Okay. So we're going to see how that goes and go with it. We're going to run with it. We're going to see how it happens. Okay, awesome. So I'm going to reintroduce Santeresa Wilson. She is a New Jersey native, and she's a certified trauma recovery coach and a business mentor, helping those who feel stuck make their vision become a reality. This former teen mom has survived many obstacles in life, which led her to write her debut manual of emotional freedom, Releasing My Secret, a 30-day devotional to support your healing process. Santeresa's goal in life is to remind people that they can heal and begin again. So welcome again, Santeresa. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so excited to be on the show. I am doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. And so, so we're not hearing any static this time, and things are actually pretty clear. And so this is pretty awesome. And I'm going to move this screen over so that I can see you without the delays. Hang on 1 second. Okay, so now but then I can still read comments if anybody is commenting on Facebook.
Let me just try to share it from Facebook real quick. I can still hear you though. I'm gonna just try to share it real quick.
Okay. So so this is great. So one of the things that I had shared before we so rudely got interrupted is that we had that this is our final Chatting with Wisdom in 2021. And so we will resume again on January 5th, again with another beautiful guest. And so I am super excited that we are actually talking about this particular topic today, which is releasing my secret. And so we were talking about how important it is for us to have that recovery around the situations that we have going on, and how we're dealing with our traumas, or how we're dealing with the certain situations that we have going on in our lives, and having that happen. And so Santeresa is back. And so it's just really important for us to have those frank conversations. And that's kind of where we got interrupted with all the static sounds. And so we were talking about how when we're actually sharing our story and what it is that's going on and what it is that's happening, is that we are always thinking that things are just going to disappear, and we're not going to, and then we're not going to have to deal with anything anymore, and life is going to be grand, and we're actually going to be able to move on, and we can to some degree, right? So do you want to talk a little bit more about that, Santeresa?
Yeah, so what I've learned in releasing my secret is my thing, right? I absolutely love talking about it, because when we go through various obstacles, various traumas, various situations, a lot of times we internalize it, right? We internalize it maybe due to embarrassment. We feel like no one else can relate to it. We don't really want to talk about it. It's a little bit too painful. And what I've learned and what I personally experienced is that when we suppress those things, it always tends to spill over into other areas of our lives, and we'll see it manifest in other kind of ways. So even though you may see in your life like, oh, well, I'm successful and things are going well, but then you'll always have that stumbling block. I just can't get but so much further. And then you're seeking out coaches, you're seeking out different things, trying to make the pieces fit. But it's really when you haven't dealt with the emotions that was tied to something that was traumatic for you. And I always define trauma as something that disturbs the normalcy of your life.
Yeah. And that part, and I love the fact that you actually pointed that out, because a lot of people think, oh, well, I didn't have a car accident, or I didn't have like this big, huge thing, so I have no trauma in my life. It's whatever it is that actually disrupts that cycle and of your normalcy. And that is really what it is. And a lot of us, most of us, have actually had some sort of trauma in our lives. And so some people, it's death in the family, some people it is loss of a job. COVID in itself is just in it, like that is all very much traumatic as to what it is, how we're dealing with things and the different things that we have going on that way. So but it's just that ability of being able to see past where we get stuck and how to be able to resolve those feelings. And the other thing that I thought was really great that you mentioned is, and because I talk about this a lot, and I actually had a session yesterday with a client, a group session yesterday, and the one client was talking about like, well, I was watching a movie and I just started bawling for no reason, and I can't believe like I couldn't even handle this, and whatever. But it's about those emotions and feeling the different things that are actually going on and stuffing them. A lot of times we stuff them, or we explode in different areas. We don't address the specific situation that we have going on, or anything like that. So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's true. You know, when we're going through something, we always, especially especially just in our culture, we're taught to keep it moving, right? That's the biggest thing. Everybody goes, keep it moving, right? Keep going, keep pushing through, just push, right? And it's just like sometimes you have to stop, right? At some point in time, you have to stop to process whatever it is that you've gone through. And everybody is not from some type of traumatic event. It's from children on, down to on up to adults. Everyone experiences some type of trauma. And unfortunately, we're always taught to keep going. Oh, it's not that serious, right? That's what we hear people say, especially when you talk to someone. And so it's just the norm. And so, but our norm should be, and that's why I think a lot of people now are talking about self-care, taking care of yourself, taking that time out for yourself. Why? Because if you don't deal with it now, you're going to have to deal with it later, right? Yeah. We know that undealt emotion a lot of times will manifest in health issues as well, right? And so we have to at some point in time stop and process and deal with it.
And that's just funny. And I always love how the universe kind of throws things out there. And so one of the things is that, so my dad died in August. And so like there was a bunch of different things that happened. So on top of having to move, on top of having my mother-in-law moving in with us at the same time, and still being on lockdown, and like all these crazy things that have been going on, my dad also, his health deteriorated and he died in August. And so one of the things that I realized about a month ago, and I knew that before too, but I wasn't really paying a whole lot of attention because I was just too focused on push through, get things done, like keep going, keep driving and doing all the things that I need to be doing. And so although I did take some time in August, but then September came around and it was like, so I still had all these other things, but I wasn't looking after, I wasn't going for walks anymore. And or not as many walks. I wasn't taking care of my eating habits. And like, there's like so many things that I wasn't doing well that I normally do. And so I started going, and so inside my Facebook group, I started talking about this 2021 reset into 2022 for myself. It's my own journey. And I've been sharing how I've been doing, what kind of things have I actually put in place? How am I getting myself back into resetting the things that I would normally do because of all the different things that were going on. And it was like all that stuff that was compounded. And so even if somebody didn't have like one particular event that was going on, sometimes we have all this compounded stress that causes our body trauma, that causes our emotions trauma, and that we don't have that opportunity to be able to deal with it. And so that self-care is so hugely important. And that's usually the first thing to go when life goes crazy, isn't it?
It is. And we, I think with 2020, we came into 2021 and so many people were excited. People were talking about, I rewrote my life. I started the business. I did all of this stuff, but they never, the world is open down for so long. And so like
you are still cutting out. This is crazy. Am I cutting out or is it you that's cutting out?
it's just all the little components that are, it might just be the lag.
Yeah, no, you're actually cutting out. So like, even when I'm listening, so like you're cutting out and it's very, very choppy. And then
you probably, if you have it up while you're on another device, it's going to be choppy too.
Yeah, no, it's actually happening on live, like on the live itself.
We have to make sure that.
Yeah, this is not helping. Are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay, so okay, so now you've disappeared. This is such a great conversation. Okay, so now you're muted.
Oh, I must have hit the button by accident.
That's okay. So you were having some really great points and it's like, I couldn't hear them. So did you want to try again?
Yeah, that's not a problem. What I was saying is that, 2020, we were shut down, right? In 2020, we were forced to deal with ourselves. In 2020, we were trying to regroup and really just figure out what the heck was going on, right? Because everything just went from normal to crazy, like so fast, right? So much so that we came into 2021 and we were on go mode, right? Everything was go, 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 go. I think we were trying to make up for lost time, but we know we can't make up for lost time. You can't get time back. You just have to seize the moment. And so, yes, it's true. We do tend to neglect ourselves when we're on accelerated mode, right? Because we're so much, I think we want to make up so much that we're neglecting that we have to make sure that in the process of making up that we're maintaining a level of care for ourselves, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes of self-time, self-care, time to ourselves or something like that.
Yeah. And like you said, like even just 5 to 10 minutes, right? So people are like, I don't have time. I have to work full time. I have my kids. I have to get ready for dinner. Or I have to take care of my elderly parents, or I have to do all of the above. And I just don't even have time for any self-care. And I just have all these things that I have to be doing. But being able to find 5 minutes in a day just allow yourself to be able to just kind of get refocused, reconnected, and have that opportunity to be able to get grounded. So whether it is a soft meditation, or whether it's just focusing on your breath, or whether it is like, it doesn't matter what it is, like even if you just sit still for like 5 minutes, right? So just having that time to be able to just slow down and literally smelling the roses, right?
Yeah. And even if it requires for you to make the sacrifice for yourself and to get up earlier in the course of the day, right? Or when it quiets down, in your house late at night, even just to take that time then, because you'll hear older people say a lot of times that they wish they would have done more for themselves. I wish I would have went on vacation. I wish I would have spent more time. I wish I could have. And so they have like this bucket list, right? Now they're older. They have this bucket list of things that they wish they could have did if they would have just took the time out to do. And so a lot of times people live with regrets because of that. But if you actually take the time out and you just take that time out for yourself, you'll understand, you'll even be able to organize it better. Right? You'll even be able to seize every single moment, and you'll be able to appreciate the things that we take advantage of sometimes that is just so simple. I used to rush through a meal, always on the go, 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 go. But like, have you ever really sat down and taken the time out just to enjoy the food that we're privileged to have, that some people don't have, right? And so it's just taking that time out really for yourself, and just to, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes, wake up early, go to bed a little bit later, but find that time, because it definitely is essential.
And essential is the key word, right? So, and that is like super important for us to be able to have that key essential part of our day. And because like you said, it is that regret. And so, and when it always takes me back, whenever anybody talks about that, it always takes me back to when I became a single mom. And I was going to a parenting support group because it was like I was feeling like I was completely out of sync and didn't know what else that I could be doing. And so when I was there, the facilitator in the group had said, because I was like trying to make sure that everything was done because I was OCD and I needed to make sure that everything was always lined up and all the things were done. And so one of the things that she said to me, and it hits me all the time, and it's one of the reasons why I've kind of taken a step back into some of the things that were going on, and that I can now, whereas I couldn't then, is she said, so do you want to be able to spend time with your children and enjoy that time with them, or do you want to have a perfectly clean house? And it was like, ding, 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 there's the light bulb, right? So my kids are not going to be little forever.
Yeah.
And so we would do the crazy things. We would dance I would put the kids on the coffee table and we would crank up the tunes and we would dance on the they would dance on the coffee table, and we'd have like this really fun time. And whereas before it was like, all serious, right? All the things needed to be done. And I didn't have time to be able to do that right now. Cause like now I have to cook dinner. We just come home from work. I have to cook dinner and I have to get you guys ready for school or for bed, and then have to get you guys up and ready to go to the daycare in the morning and all the things. But
yeah,
when I was able to stop and say, so if my dishes are there tonight, they'll be there tomorrow. When I get home, I can do them tomorrow when I get home while dinner's cooking or whatever. Right.
You know what is so unique? I went to a parenting class, right? After I had my son, after I had my 3 children, I went to a parenting class because you're like, well, what should I do, right? You just I think you have that aha moment, right? And so we watched Antoine Fisher, the movie. But the takeaway that the teacher said to us was, in order to be a better parent, you have to be a better you. Because if you're not in a good place, you can't raise your children to necessarily be in a good place, right? And so because it's all a matter of, it's going to be a trickle effect. So if you're stressed out, if they're going to feel your stress. And so I admire that, because I think a lot of, and as a sidebar, I think a lot of times people don't look at these support groups as being helpful, but they give very, very, very good information that can help us journey along the way, because that right there taught me that self-care was important, because I can't help you out if I'm a mess.
Yeah. And that is so extremely important. Like, I love that. Right. So I can't help you if I'm a mess. And so, so one of the things that was really great is that I've got really great clients who were very understanding when things happened with my dad, and that I was able to take most of that time in August to kind of regroup. But it's that, and that part was important. And I did that. And I don't, and I made sure to do all those things. However, it's the rest of the things that kind of went awry, right? So like now, and again, you can't make up time, but I was trying to catch up on all the things that were going on from May until August when Dad died. And I had all these things that I didn't get all these other things done. And I still needed to catch up on all those things. And it's like, then it just gets into the busyness of Christmas time and craziness. And so the entire month of December, but started in November, where it was like, I took that step back and said, no, I need to figure out how to get back into practicing what I preach. Right. So I tell people, you need to put yourself first. You need to take the time for yourself. So I restarted doing my saunas. I started doing the Ionic Foot Detox. And then I went back to see the nutritionist so that we can kind of get things back on track with my live blood to see where things were going. And so like now it's that reset, right? So for me, it's that reset of being able to get back into the swing of what am I doing for me so that I can actually move forward, so that I can be my best version of me to be able to help my clients.
And listen, I went through the same thing. So first, my condolences to you in regards to the loss of your father. I lost my father in 2020, in actually May. And so just really quick, I lost my mom 11 years ago, and her birthday's in May. So May's always a rough month for me because Mother's Day, she was a nurses week. So I would always have the memories of getting all the treats that they would give the nurses to celebrate, right? And So I was like coming out of Mother's Day, processing through Nurses Week. And then my dad dies suddenly. He wasn't sick, right? He was in a nursing home. I haven't seen him since probably like January, February, prior to the lockdown. And he passes away. And so I try to go, because that's what society tells me. It tells me I need to keep going. You got to make arrangements. And it was there was no heart, I would say, at that time when it came to bereavement.
Yeah.
Because so many people were dying. And it was kind of like, hello, your dad is dead. You're going to call a funeral home? What funeral home you want us to call? You know, it was just no like compassion there, right? But you have to move how they move, because everybody's trying to stay in sync to get things done.
Yeah.
And so at that time, I realized that I've been on autopilot, right, since I lost my mom 11 years ago. But it didn't hit me until I lost my dad. Because now I'm like, and mind you, my mom passed away the day before my dad's birthday in October. So it was like, mom died, happy birthday, dad. You know what I mean? And so it was constant go, 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 go. And then it was like, my dad died. And then it's like, okay. And so I had to stop. You say reset, but I had to stop. And a lot of times I tell my clients, and, you know, I always talk to those in Christendom, and I say, you know, Christ was the best example of self-care, because he practiced it. He stole away from his disciples. He took the time to stop and process his emotions when his friend died. And so it's essential for us to stop and process. It's okay not to be okay. I say that all the time. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to sit down, because if you do not do it, what happens is, again, you'll have the spillover effect. And then later on, you're going to be like, oh, I should have, you know, I was down 10 pounds, but like, right? But you can't necessarily deal with everything else until you deal with the life aspect, the emotional aspect that actually caused for you to stop doing what was productive in your life at that moment. So what caused you to stop, right? And so it's very, very essential. You have to be like, you know what? I'm not okay. You know, people ask you, how are you doing? Our first response is, I'm great. But inside, we're like, oh, I'm not doing well. Kids is making me mad. Bills is due. Everything is crazy. But if I told you that, I might feel like you might take offense. But when in reality, because that's my secret, but in reality, you might have nuggets that can help me pull me out, because you've been where I'm at. And that's why I always talk about releasing our secret, because you never know what someone else is going through, or what someone else is coming, you know, about to go through, or what someone has gone through, and what someone else is in the process of going through.
Yeah. And that was one of the things that when things were going on with my dad, is that for me to be able to process, I was processing whatever it is that I needed to, but I also shared it on Facebook, and I shared that journey. And so for the last 5 years that he's been not well, I've shared our journey together, right? So like, it's like, even though it was his health journey, it was still my journey with him. And so as I was processing and dealing with like before and after, and I continue to do that as well. And I was doing it for my own well-being. Like, it was just so that I can actually have that outlet, so that I can share whatever it is that I was going on. And so many people came and reached out and said, thank you for being so vulnerable and sharing, because how you've been feeling and what it is that you're thinking and what you're feeling is, I've felt very similar, or the same thing, depending on what it is, because it is those little nuggets. And for me, it was that opportunity for me to be able to release. And so releasing was being able to connect with others and having that out there. So I wouldn't share so that people would say, oh, poor Rollie, like she's having such a hard time. I was sharing because other people are struggling as well. And so if we are reaching out together and we're working through this, and one of the things that I expect from my clients is to be able to have that vulnerability, because in order to be able to tap into that vulnerability, it allows you to be able to get to those emotions, right? So many of us stuff them and we stop them, and it's like we start crying and we're like, oh, well, I have to get over it. I have to get over it. So why do you have to get over somebody dying? Why do you have to get over losing your job? Why do you have to get over being on lockdown? Yes, we can't stay stuck in it, but we also have to feel it. We have to feel the frustration. We have to feel the anger. We have to feel the hurt. All those things that we just kind of go, oh no, like I'm not supposed to feel those. And so most of us have been taught that we're not supposed to have those feelings, right? So stop crying. I'm going to give you something to cry about. Right? Like those types of statements, a lot of us grew up with. And because it was like, just keep pushing through, keep going. If you're not working hard, then you're not going to make it. And all those kinds of things, right? So like all these kind of statements and all these things that society has put in, whereas, and 2020 was really that time when people really had no choice but to stop, right? And that stopping was like, oh my gosh, we've been on this like hamster wheel all of our life. And all of a sudden, everything's done. We can't go anywhere. We can't see anybody. We can't do anything. And right at the beginning of 2020, we didn't even know what that was going to look like, right? Everybody was afraid. Nobody knew what was going to happen. Like now we have a fairly good idea of how things are processing, what it is. There's still lots of unknown, and there's still lots of things that we still have no idea where it's going to go or how it's going to go. But at least we have an idea now. Whereas like back in March 2020, none of us had a clue. Everything was just completely unknown as to what it is that was going on, right? So, but did I lose you? Oh, there you are.
I always say, I'm codependent on one another. So what you have may help me realize that, like, we just to be able, like you said, to share, to be able to express yourself, to be able to get it out. It's not healthy to keep it in.
Yeah.
And so you should get it out. And like you said, COVID, everything face isn't really necessary, right? Was them for, right? Was we're seeing people die left and right, and so it started to make you question: was we have to rush through the process of not right, or should I have really taken that time out because I'm really not? All those little questions come up, and some people say, you know what, I really need counseling. I talked to my girlfriend long enough. Look, she's tired of my story. I really need a counselor. And so, you need to look and and really just reevaluate so many different things. But the key is that coming into this year, I hope that people really embraced letting it go, right? Addressing those things. I tell my children all the time, pick your battles, right? Cherish the time that you have. Pick your battles. Take time out for yourself. It's those times that we can only live now in the present. And so what are we doing to go forward, to move forward so that we could be successful futuristically, right? And so that's where the release is coming out. When you notice that you start to release, you'll notice everything starts to get lighter. When you're weighed down, it's hard. A track star, when they're weighed down, they ran with all their clothes on, they're not going to go that far. But when you start to take those layers off, you'll notice how fast you'll take off.
And it's just so important for us to be able to do that. So I can't believe that we are already 30 minutes in. So with all the complications that we've had, and there's still a little bit of glitching and a little bit of cutting out, but for the most part, this was incredible in terms of we really need to set up another time and continue this conversation, I believe. So so one of the things that you have is you're releasing My Secret, a 30-day devotional to support your healing process. Yes. And so I've shared that link in the Facebook comments.
Okay.
So if somebody is interested in being able to do that, is being able to hear that. So one of the things that I just realized as well is that I have to try and figure out how to take this off of Facebook, because I didn't record on Zoom. Silly me. It's been a while since I've had to do that. So I will figure out how to be able to take it off of Facebook.
It's the three dots right at the top when you go into the screen after
be able to let me do that. Eh?
Yeah, after you save it though, after the live stream is done, you'll be able to download it.
Yeah, so this is so this has been great. It has definitely been and I used to go on live through Zoom all the time, and then I started having some glitches, and so then I started using StreamYard, and typically I don't have any issues with StreamYard, but for whatever reason today that we had a little bit of trouble, but it has been great. So is there anything else, Santeresa, that you think that is really important for us to know?
Yes. So I always end my podcast, and I end my podcast with this quote, and I share it wherever I go. And so the quote says that it means that the trauma. And so when you realize that when you realize that you're in a healed place, you'll use that trauma to empower you to help empower other people.
So we missed the quote because you had cut out at that point. So I'm not sure if you want to try again.
I can. The quote means that the trauma no longer controls your life.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I love that quote. And that is super important for us to be able to take back control in a situation or in our lives, in the situations that we've had. So that is beautiful. And I love that you end on that note all the time. So thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
For Chatting Wisdom. And again, as a reminder, next week and the week after, we will not be doing Chatting with Wisdom. This is our final for 2021. And we will be starting fresh with some incredible, inspiring women like Santeresa of being able to share their stories, their vision, their purpose, and helping us move forward. So, so thank you so much for joining us. And thanks, everyone.
All right. Thank you.
Stop sharing on Facebook.